Okay, so we're catching back up. We've added our 3 boxes hopefully by now, a gallery section, a contact section, and a footer section. I've adjusted a few of the colors, but all of the actual styling code is right here. So you could pause the video right now and type that if you still aren't there. But essentially, this is what you'll end up with. So I have my header. We did that the first day. We got our background. Our first section's looking pretty good. We've got a second section, a third section, and a little footer that has just enough styling to push this one line of text down into the center of the box. So we've got our bubble wrap pushing that. We've got our little copyright symbol, everything that we need to get going next. So the next thing I want to do is actually this third section, because the third section is relatively easy to do. And then we're going to work on our navigation, which is a little bit more complex. And then the last thing is the gallery. And maybe today we'll also center our website, because that's pretty easy to do. So let's look at our previous example site of where we're heading. So you can see this site is centered. We have navigation that should jump us from anchor link to anchor link. We're going to do that. And this is the section we're now replicating. So the only difference between this section and this section is that this div comes first, this div comes after, and thus their float properties are switched. That's literally the only difference. So it's pretty easy. All we're going to do is go down here into our code. We're going to scroll past our styles at the top, down to our divs, and we're going to go into our contact section div. So whenever you're adding something inside a box, make sure that you're in between the opening and the closing tag. When you click your div tag, it will show you where the other side of the box is. So I'm going to do that right here, contact section. I'm going to hit enter just to open it up a little bit so I can see, or I won't get confused anyway. And I'm going to add 2 new divs, so 2 new boxes inside this box, one to contain the text, one to contain the image. So div, and then I always give my divs ID so that I'm not later confused as to what they are. So div equals contact image, close my caret, and my box closes right up. And I probably should have done the text one first because the text is first. So I'm actually going to scoot that box down, and right above that box, I'm going to go div ID equals, and this will be called contact text. Scoot right outside my quotes, close my caret, and there we go. 2 nice new divs inside divs. Now if we go back to our website, nothing will have appeared here because the boxes are invisible because there's nothing in them. So let's actually start adding some stuff in there. So I'm actually going to copy and paste the same text that I put here. I'm going to put thank you for booking, or contact us for a booking, by phone, make a phone number, and all of that. So let's do that. And I'll show you a couple little neat little styling things. I made this a link that opens the email. We'll probably try that. Essentially, let's just start typing, and then I'll show you how to add line breaks and stuff like that. So we'll go contact us for booking. And then I'm going to type by phone, imaginary phone number, 123 456 7890. So this is a made-up phone number. And then I'm going to just type the next line, and then I'm going to add the breaks in there. By email, visit Japan at japan.com. So I just typed it in a string. We're going to fix that up and make that look really nice and neat in a second. You can, if you want to make it a little neater for yourself, just kind of do that. Hit enter a couple times so that it's like in the line order you want. But even though I've done that, let's go back to my site, and you're going to see that it looks like this, which doesn't look very good because it's all in a line. And you might go, hey, I hit enter here and moved it to a new line. Why doesn't it show like that? And it's because you have to tell it to have a line break. So I can do that, I believe, by just typing caret/br. I think that used to be the code for it. That might not be the line break code anymore. I had something similar. So we'll say line break HTML. So anytime you're confused, just Google it. It's going to be right there. It is a BR. Oh, it's BR. You don't have to hit the hash. That's what I was thinking. There we go. So I just type caret, BR, caret, and that's going to say, hey, break the line right here. So I'm going to add another one. And let's go check. Ta-da! They are now line broken. So that was super easy fix. That's the only kind of like unique difference between that one and that one. We could also have just styled the box to try and force the type to break, but you should always put a line break because if you want it to be on a separate line, tell it to line break. If you don't do that, when you open and close like the browser, it's going to flow in a weird way and it may not do what you want. So if you need it on a new line, all you got to do is add a little break. And now I actually want this heading to have the same styling as this one. So I can use my H1 tag like I did before. And if you remember, you'll see it right here. H1, the title that I want to have that style, close the H1. I'm going to do that exact thing right here. So H1, caret, and you can see it tried to close it, and I wasn't ready, so I'm just going to copy that, paste it around my text, and I have the break outside. That shouldn't be a problem. And now, ta-da, there it is. So it looks like it added a lot of line space under it. We might have to play with that class to get it to be a little closer, but we'll fiddle with that later. So we might actually, let's see if we even need the break. Let's delete the break and see if that's what's happening. Okay, there you go, bam. So I just deleted one of the breaks. The reason that is whenever you add an H tag or a P tag in the form of paragraph, it's going to automatically force a line break for that section. So you can actually divide things up by having heading tags and P tags. It will add a line break, that's all. So very simple. There we go, we've got our text styled. We're just gonna have to actually style our box, but let's go add our image and then we'll get them scooting around. So if you don't remember how to add an image, let's look at how we had it styled before. So I think we did it as a background image. Let's double check that. So we have welcome text, div ID. All right, so yes, we had background image as part of the styling, and let's do that up here. So if we just keep scrolling, we'll be able to find it. So you can see this is how I set the background image for both the header, the body, and then I think welcome image. Okay, so there we go. Welcome image, set left, da 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 da. Where is my welcome image actually? Welcome text. Oh, there we go. So we did it this way for this one. There's two different ways. So I can actually just insert this image code where it says like tag, image, source, width, height, etc. I can do that, or I can set it as a background image. Let's do it the same way we did up here. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to put it right inside. Or let me just type it so you can see me do it on the video. So caret, image, space, SRC, which means source, aka go find this item, quotes, and then we go to images / contact .jpg. It's already in the quote, so that's fine. And then I should be able to just close that if it will let me type here. So I think that looks about right. So right here, we should have the same thing, image, source, images, that's the folder, title, welcome. And then here it's giving it a width and a height and a float. We can add that up in the styling if we want, or we can add it afterwards here. So let's just check and see if that actually worked. And it did. So here it is. It worked. It just dropped it in. So this is the code for adding an image. Feel free to pause this video at this point and type that in. Make sure that your title and your folder is correct for what you have this set as. So, and you can see I can even hover and it will pop up. It even tells me the pixel size, which is kind of nice, because if I needed to use that elsewhere, it does let me know. So now we have our boxes are populated, and I keep wanting to hit save in there on accident. Just ignore that, save in here. We just got to style the boxes so that they're floating the correct ways and they'll sit next to each other and be the right sizes. So I can actually go to my Paris code and look at those sizes, or I can sort of guesstimate and kind of play around with what I have previously in here. So if I look at the code, I see the welcome image was 400 by 350 with margin, this, and float left. Let's see if we want to do it that way. Yeah, let's try that. So in this case, we've already titled these divs. We have contact image and we have contact text. Let's go back up to our styling and just copy these two rules and change the names and then adjust them from there. Let's try that. It might not be what we want, but we'll see if it works. So I'm going to copy those two rules, making sure to grab both the end brackets all the way up to the top. Make sure I'm in between rules here, and I'm going to hit paste. And then we're going to change the title. So we're going to call this one contact image and contact text. And this is why having good naming conventions makes things a little bit easier. So as long as these two things are called contact text and contact image, it will correctly apply. So I know this is not going to work correctly, so let's actually go look and see what it does. If I hit save and go in here, you can see it kind of like moved something, but it messed it up. The reason for that is that in this one, our float properties are set with this image on the left and the text on the right. When I come down here, it's trying to float from the wrong side. So if we switch that, that should definitely help. So if we set this to float right and this one to float left, hopefully that will fix it somewhat. So it looks like we definitely have some rules that are still not correct, but now they're at least floating on the different sides. So now let's check here. So height, width, margin, top. Now we just need to switch the margins as well because we have margin top, margin right, and margin left. Let's try swapping those. Margin right. And let's set this one to margin left. So it's just the opposite simply because they were the different way. I kind of wanted you to see that challenge of what happens. That helped a little bit with our image. We're still having some kind of weird stuff here. So let's see if we can fix it a little bit more. Margin left, margin top, width. Let's not set a width and height for this one. And let's see what happens there. So margin right, 90. Margin top, float right. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. I can tell the issue right now is that this box is pushing down this item. This will probably work fine once we fix this one. So let's go to our contact text. We want our height, width, margin top, margin left. Let's try, what did I have it as, float left? Let's make the size a little bit smaller and kind of see. Let's try our width at 300 and our height at 300 because I don't think we need it to be that big. Make sure our pixels are in there. Let's take a look. All right, I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit, but let me see what I have for my other code. So if you're lost, I'll make sure that the correct code is posted for you guys, but you can see that when you're doing this sort of stuff, this is the kind of challenges you run into. So it's possible that the reason it's not working is possibly, oh, I already figured out what my problem was. Look at this. It's all those secret little deals. I'm like, I know that code should work correctly. The issue is this is titled contact text with a lowercase t. Look at that. That little thing will screw up the whole website. Bam, fixed. So I had to think about it because I was like, I know my code's right, something's weird. This is the kind of weird, stupid stuff you have to pay attention to when you're coding. And you can see that automatically fixed it, and now it looks perfect. That's all I needed to do. So just make sure your titles are correct. I did change the height and width. I don't think it would have mattered either way what I did, as long as it has a height or width defined so that the box doesn't think it's a billion years long. It should be fine. You can see the margin is the same as the previous one. All I had to do was swap the float and swap the margin sides. So that's kind of, I know that's like a little bit of a challenge, but it's not too different than what you did up here. So you can see that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna stop hitting save in there maybe, and that'll be the end of this. So the code you'll need to write, I'm gonna highlight it so if you need to pause the video, this is the code that applies to these boxes right down here. So contact text, and contact image, and then we have our contact section, which should be right there, and our contact section code is right here. So you can see I'm trying to keep them organized by these are like the sections, These are all the items inside the sections. And then this is just some overall styling, our H1 right there. So I'll make sure this code is posted online for you to grab it. But what we learned about in this little video was adding the div, creating our line breaks, and then copying and pasting and editing these rules to make our float properties correct on these two items. And I keep wanting to hit save every time I see it. It's just my natural Command S, so ignore that part. But this is ready to go, and that is the end of that section.